Good morning, fifth graders. Today you are starting a new unit. Hopefully yesterday you watched the YouTube video of King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. If you have not watched those videos, please make sure you stop today and you reach out to your teacher, because today you're going to need to understand how to work with the metric system to do today's lesson. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize, but I don't have the same book as yours, so I don't have the exact page numbers for you. So you're going to have to find the page for Unit 11, Lesson 1. Okay, we are going to be beginning, and our goal or our objective for the day is, today I will solve multi-step word problems. And it's a long objective. That's why I'm trying to squish as much as I can in that first line. Today I will solve multi-step word problems involving length in the metric and standard systems. Wow, that is quite an objective. So let's kind of go through this and what does this actually mean? Okay, so solve, we know that. Multi-step. Multi-step means that we're going to have more complicated or complex word problems. There are going to be more than one step to actually solve them. Okay, our measurement that we're going to be starting with is length, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And we're going to be using two systems, the metric system and the standard system. And I'll show you both those in just a moment. Okay, so let's look at our vocabulary pretty closely today. So the first thing is we have length, and we should know what length is. We used length when we found area equals length times width. We found used length when we did volume. Volume equals length times width times height. So we should have a pretty good sense of what length is. Okay, here are the two systems that we're going to be dealing with for most of this unit. So we're going to deal with the U.S. Customary System. Okay, the U.S. Customary System, they have a flag by it because really it's only the U.S. uses it. Now, obviously, because we live in the U.S., it's important that we know it. The other system is called the metric system, and it's the international system of measurement. And they have a picture of the globe next to it because every country in the world other than our country chooses the metric system. Throughout this unit, you're going to see why most countries opt to use the metric system. It's much easier to memorize because it's one system that works for length, it works for volume, it works for weight. So it works for all the different types of measurements, where our system, the U.S. Customary System, has different measurements for each type of measurement, which makes it a little bit more complicated to have to memorize all these different measurements. Okay, so let's go back to the U.S. system. And here are the measurements that we're going to be using. And you've heard a lot of these words: foot, inches, yards, feet, mile. So you've heard about these measurements. What this is an equivalency chart. It lets us know what's equal. I will tell you, and I'm going to box in the first three equivalencies. These, you're going to be expected to have these three memorized. You need to know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. You need to memorize that 1 yard equals 3 feet, and 1 yard is 36 inches. Those need to be in your head. I'm going to do a little picture and an arrow. You need to get those measurements in your head. Okay, the measurement for mile, how many yards are in a mile? 1,760. You do not need to memorize that. If a question asked you that, they would provide you with that information. And the same with how many feet are in a mile. I don't even have those memorized, and I teach this every year. So that you'll be able to be given, and then just know that you have to work with it. But these three need to be in your head. So this is kind of a silly little picture that I've always used to help me, is I make a large Y, which stands for yard, and in 1 yard are 3 feet, and in each foot is 12 inches. Okay, so what this does is if I memorize this drawing, I know that there's 1, 2, 3 feet in a yard. I know there's 12, 24, 36 inches in a yard. I know that there's 12 inches in a foot. So this one little picture kind of helps me memorize a lot of information that I need to know. Okay, for the metric system, we are going to be using what we did yesterday of the King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. That's going to be what we're going to use for this system, is King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Okay, and then our last definition says conversion, to change from one unit to another without changing the size. Okay, so this would be maybe like if you could relate this to fractions, when you simplify fractions. We're just changing it, but the actual value is going to stay the same. Okay, so what are our steps here? Our steps are we're going to read the problem and make a plan. And that just is based on how are we going to attack this problem. We're going to identify the units. Is this US or metric? And the reason we need to decide that is that's going to determine what system we're going to use to help us, what strategy. Because it says create a conversion chart. I'm going to create a conversion chart if it's US. I'm also going to draw my picture that I drew below. But if it's metric, I'm not. If it's metric, I'm going to use King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. That's the strategy I'm going to be using. And then once I have my strategy, I'm going to use that strategy to solve the problem. Okay, so what does this actually look like, ladies and gentlemen? I'm just going to jump in and get started with my red pen. You could put your pencil down. Okay, so here's my first problem. Jennifer has a piece of ribbon that measures 5 yards. She also has 8 presents that need bows. She uses 2 feet of ribbon per bow. Does Jennifer have enough ribbon to make a bow for each present? If she has ribbon left over, how much extra does she have? If she doesn't have enough ribbon, how much is she short? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, here's my plan. I know if she's has 8 presents and they each need, so she has 8 presents that need bows and each bow's 2 feet of ribbon. I know she needs 16 feet is how much is needed. There's my plan for the problem. Okay, my second step though says I need to, if I look back at my steps, I need to identify the units. Well, yards and feet are US. This is a US problem, US customary system, which means for the US, I am going to use a conversion chart and I'm going to use my picture to help me. So my picture is 1 yard has 3 feet and each foot has 12 inches. Okay, this can help me with my conversion chart. So I know that she has 5 yards and she needs 16 feet. So let's see what we can do here. We're going to make a conversion chart between feet and yards. So what do I know? I know 1 yard has 3 feet in it because I have that in my picture. I also know then that 2 yards would then have 6 feet. And 3 yards would have 9 feet. 4 yards would have 12 feet because I'm just adding 3 feet each time. And 5 yards would have 15 feet. Okay, and this is what she has then. She has 5 yards, which is 15 feet. So she is short. And how much short is she? Well, if she needed 16, she is short 1 foot. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's see another one. Here's my next problem. Marco's teacher is getting new whiteboards installed. If each new whiteboard measures 1.5 meters in length, how many whiteboards are needed to fill a space that is 750 centimeters long? Okay, so I see this that we need to figure out how many whiteboards are going to fit in this space. Okay, what I notice about my meters and centimeters is I'm using the metric system, which means I'm using King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And my base measurement is meters. So I can't do this problem when I have two different types of measurements going on. So I need to change one of them. I think I'm going to change this decimal one. So I want to change meters. I want to know that 1.5 meters equals how many centimeters. So I'm going to go from meters to centimeters. So what did I do? I went 1, 2 to the right. So I'm going to do the same here. 1, 2 to the right. And my decimal ends up there, which is 150 decimal, which is the same as 150. So 1.5 meters equals 150 centimeters. Let's now cross this off. It'll be much easier now that they have the same measurement. So now let's look at this. Marco's teacher is getting new whiteboards installed. If each new whiteboard measures 150 centimeters in length, how many whiteboards are needed to fill a space that is 750 centimeters long? So if she gets one whiteboard, it's going to be 150 centimeters. If she gets 2 whiteboards, it's going to be 300 centimeters. 3 whiteboards is going to be 450 centimeters. 4 whiteboards is going to be 450 plus 150 is 600 centimeters. 5 whiteboards is going to be 750 centimeters. So she has room for 5 whiteboards, and that will fill her space. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's try some together. If you want to grab your marker, your pencil, and I'm going to grab my green marker, and let's go. Okay, in 1 hour, a snail traveled a distance of 3,600 millimeters. Then Andres picked up the snail and carried it for a distance of 10 meters. How many meters did the snail travel that day? Okay, so if he traveled this first, then he traveled this, and the question's how many meters did he travel? I think we're going to have to add those. The problem is we can't add them when they're different measurements. I can't add millimeters to meters. So we need to convert one. So I know this is the metric system because meters. So let's set up our problem. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And our base measurement for length is meters. Okay, so we could change either one of them. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't. It says how many meters. They want our answer in meters, ladies and gentlemen, so we have to change the millimeters. So we need to know 3,600 millimeters equals how many meters? That's what we need to know. So we're going to go from millimeters to meters, so which means we're going from millimeters to meters. So what did we do? We went 1, 2, 3 to the left. So let's set up our number. And remember, if it doesn't have a decimal, friends, we have to add it to the end. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 to the left. So what do I have? I have 3.600. Well, isn't that the same as 3.6, which is 3 6/10? So now that we did our conversion, we can change that to 3.6 meters. Now the question's not that tricky. In 1 hour, a snail traveled a distance of 3.6 meters. Then Andres picked up the snail and carried it for a distance of 10 meters. How many meters did the snail travel that day? Well, that's going to be 3.6 plus 10, so our answer would be 13.6 meters. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's do one more together. Madison planted a red pine evergreen tree in her yard. The tree is supposed to grow 18 inches every year. Madison is going to build a tree house in her tree once it reaches a height of 15 feet. How many years will she have to wait to build her tree house? Okay, so what do I see? This is how much our tree is going to grow every year, and she wants it to be 15 feet. So what I notice is it's US, because feet and inches is US. So I'm going to draw my picture. 1 yard equals 3 feet, and each foot equals 12 inches. That's going to help me with my conversion chart. So I need to convert one of these. So it doesn't really matter which one I convert, but I can't have a problem with two different types of measurements. So what do I know? I know that 1 foot has 12 inches in it. I'm going to skip one here and I'll explain why in a minute. I know that 2 feet has 24 inches. Ooh, but the problem here is, how many inches is 18? Isn't 18 right in the middle? So what's right in the middle of 1 and 2? Would that be 1.5? So because 18 is right in the middle of 12 and 24, 1.5 is right here. So we can cross this off and we can say her tree is going to grow 1.5 feet every year. Well, then we just have to figure out how many years it's going to take. So this is going to be probably a longer problem, but 1 year, her tree is going to be 1.5 feet. After 2 years, how big is it going to be? 1.5 plus 1.5 is 3. After 3 years, it's going to be 3 plus another 1.5 would be 4.5. After 4 years, it's going to be 4.5 plus another 1.5 would be 6. 5 years, it's going to be 7.5. 6 years, it's going to be 1.5 plus that's going to be 9. Wow, this is going to go on for quite a while, ladies and gentlemen. 7 years, it's going to be 9 plus 1.5 is 10.5. Okay, then we have 8 years. Her tree is going to be another 1.5. So if I add that to that, that's going to be 12. We're getting closer. 9 years, it's going to be 13.5. And 10 years, finally, her tree is going to be 15. So this is the strategy that works for my brain. You might have been thinking a different strategy in your head, and that's okay. When you attack these problems, you can solve them how you'd like, but you need to do your conversions the way that we're doing it together. Okay, so friends, you are going to be turning the page, and today you only have 2 problems to try on your own. So remember, we're using conversion charts for US, and we're using King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk for metric. If you're feeling a little confused, please know that tomorrow we're going to be doing the same lesson, so you'll get some more practice. Have a great day. Bye.